my name is Travis Baldry. I'm half of Double Damage Games, and I'm here to do a little bit of a playthrough on Rebel Galaxy, our new game that's going to be coming out October 20th, so just a couple weeks from now. It'll be $20 on Steam and Good Old Games, and shortly thereafter it'll be coming to PS4 and Xbox One. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and load up a game I've got in progress. I'm about an hour or two in. I've already upgraded to a slightly cooler ship. This is a Icarus-class Corvette, and I'm going to try and give you an idea of what it's like to navigate and play in Rebel Galaxy. And one of the first things you'll notice is that this ship doesn't pitch up and down, and that's very odd to lots of people. But the core of combat in Rebel Galaxy, and one of the things that sets it apart from other sort of space combat games, is the fact that it's not a classic cockpit sim. We take a lot more cues from naval combat, and in a lot of ways I think that gives us a lot of interesting tactical opportunities that you don't otherwise see. Now I'm pulling out here to the solar system level. Every game of Rebel Galaxy is randomly generated. That means that the solar systems that make up each galaxy are not going to be the same on subsequent playthroughs. Now you can see that this is sort of a live and contiguous space. I'm going to zoom all the way down into this mission, and you can get all the way down to the ship level. There's a mission here to encounter these ships in this asteroid belt, and there they are. That's all the way across the solar system, and I'll fly directly there when it's time to go. I'll go ahead and zoom back out. Each solar system has a variety of planets with stations, and there are outposts, and each is controlled by different factions. Now, what factions you're allied with determines which stations you can dock at. So you can't dock everywhere at the start of the game. This is a citizenry class station. Let's get back to where we are. We're at kind of this remote sort of smuggling outpost. And before we head anywhere, I think I'm going to dock and show you the sorts of stuff that you can do at one of these outposts.
Exiting sublight. Docking.
Now, each outpost in the game has an equipment bay, and a shipyard, a commodities market, and a bar, and a mission board, all of which you're going to end up using a lot. In the equipment bay, I can change out, buy new weapons for my ship. Depending on the size of the ship, the number of mounts I have available to outfit is going to be really different. This is a relatively small ship, but it does have 4 turret mounts. Now, you can go all the way up to dreadnought-sized ships that have 16 turret mounts and 20 broadside ports per side. They're a little more cumbersome, and that's not what I tend to favor, but you can do it. There's a variety of different turret types. Each of these is more suited to different kinds of gameplay, or used in combination can be really, really effective in combat. We've also got our defensive systems, hulls, shields, deflectors. We'll see a little bit more about those when we go out to play. And apart from those, we have more secondary components, so things like boosters and your warp engines and cargo hold extenders if you want to trade or gather up lots of resources. Or if you want to be a smuggler, you can install a smuggler's hold, and that'll allow you to sneak a certain amount of goods past the militia without them detecting it. Then we have things that we call subsystems. And these are a little bit weirder, so I could, for instance, get a gas scoop that lets me convert nebula energy into booster fuel on the fly, things like that. Here's the shipyard. So on this station, I have a couple of ships that are available to buy. There are about 21 in the whole game. Different factions and different difficulty regions all have access to different ships. So, who you're allied with also changes what you can fly. Here's the commodities market. We have a live economy that changes over time and in response to events in the game, events that you can actually influence. So you can buy and sell. You can also just scavenge and steal and look for a good place to make a buck. There's a mining rush going on in this system, so all the metals are at a low price right now. Here's the mission board. Every station has a mission board, and what kinds of missions they have are, again, sort of gated by the faction that controls the station. So I'll pick a few side missions up here. And then we have the bar. Now, the bar, you can meet bartenders who have information about the system, who can tell you tips on the local market, and who you can also pay to get bounty information. So I'll check here with him. He'll charge me a little bit of money, and if I were to take him up on it, he would mark the locations of known bounties in the system so I could go and try and collect those.
So many minefields in the system is playing hell with trade. Pirates lay them down to slow up a convoy, and then they forget where they left them. What a mess.
Thanks a lot.
Goodbye,
We're done
mate.
talking to him. Now you can also check the news for the system. So currently there's a famine going on a specific station, there's market glut, there's a tech boom, and all of those have an influence on the prices on those
They
stations.
call me Splitter.
You can also hire mercenaries
Where is
if you need a
your
little help
little
in combat.
That
The
true?
different mercenaries that you'll encounter over the course of the game will have different
Nobody
personalities
knows
and
the
ships.
badlands of this sector
You
like
can
I
hire
do.
them for cash to
I'll
fly
still
along with
be
you.
breathing long after
You can
you're
also,
gone,
to an
mate.
extent, give them orders on what to do, and I'll show you a little bit about the
My
tactical
Betty
interface
is
for
a
that later.
Cardiff gunship, and she's a beast. Don't you worry about that.
But we really don't have the cash to hire him right now, so we'll talk to
See
him
you
another time
around,
maybe.
then.
We'll go ahead and undock here. Alright, let's go to our system map. We're going to figure out what we want to do right now. So here's one of our current missions. Maybe we should head over and do this, but let's investigate. Kind of zip down here and see what's there. Looks like a few frigates to take out. We can totally do that. So we're going to pull away from the station. I'm using my boosters now to get away more quickly, and that's that fuel gauge in the top right that you can see. As I get a little further away, I accelerate to sublight speed. Sublight speed is considerably faster, but you can't do it near objects. And then when we get significantly farther away, we're able to warp, and that's our primary method of getting across the system fast. Here we go. We'll head toward our mission target, which is over on the other side of the sun. Kind of skirt this nebula on the way. We might run into some stuff. Oh, and we did. Here is a
Level.
few
Yellow.
pirates.
Scanner.
We're going to decide if we want to take our time on these guys. There's no bounty on him. He has no interesting cargo. Honestly, we don't want to waste our time. So
Scatter true.
I got a fast ship. Let's get out of here. I'm going to use my turrets. Now you can see I can kind of zip down to the turret level as I control this turret. One of the main uses of that is to blow up torpedoes and missiles. So you can see them kind of flying over there to the right. Try and shoot at that one, but it's really far away. I don't think I'm going to peg it. Now later in the game, one of the subsystems that you can get is an ordnance targeting subsystem, so that I can actually lock onto turrets and torpedoes to easily blow them up from precision modes.
Accelerate.
For now, though, let's just get out of here. Get a little bit of distance. We're able to warp, and away we go. Now you can see my currently active mission has got double lines and pulses a little bit to help me keep track of it. Ooh, there was some stuff there. Let's stop. I saw some cargo containers, so I'm going to use my pulse scanner, which is sort of like an echolocation that lets me see stuff that's beyond visual range, but still, in interactable range. Looks like a few cargo containers and a few hostiles. So what I'm kind of hoping to do is sort of scoot in here, scoop up the cargo, and then just blast out without having to do anything. I want to keep my missiles around for this mission. Oh, there's a few magnetic mines here. We want to avoid those. Some pirates, we saw them at a distance.
Accelerating to sublight.
It's always worth making sure they don't have some cargo that I want. But it's cheap, and I don't really care. So, we're not going to bother engaging with these guys unless they have anything interesting, which apparently they do not. Nuts and bolts, not worth my time, not worth my missiles.
Sublight
Now, I'm going to
systems
pull up my
depleted.
deflectors here. Just a second. Just to kind of absorb this damage while I'm getting away. Deflectors is that little blue bar in the bottom left. And you can see that it recharges now that it's not engaged. When something hits me and a deflector's up, it does no damage to my shields or hull. So you can use it to, if missiles are about to impact, you can throw up your deflector to keep it from doing any real damage. You can also use it to protect yourself while you are letting shields recharge on a specific side. Man, I can't get, 10 feet without something pulling me out of warp that's interesting to look at. I got a distress signal here in this asteroid belt, so I'm going to head over. It's more likely a miner that's being preyed on by some pirates. But let's find out. I'm going to use my scanner, and we'll see what's here. Oh, yep, there's that mining tug being attacked by a few fighters and a gunship. Let's take them out. If you help people out, you often build a little bit of faction, and they tend to pay you too if they survive. Got a gunship here. Yeah, let's blow him up. After I graze my tail on one of these asteroids. Ouch.
Scatter true. Satellite boosters depleted.
Take him out with my top-mounted turret. Now you see above in that reticle, those little slices?
Broadsides.
Let's find a better location for that. There's one. Now you see the blue and white slices up in that reticle? That's his shields and hull, and they're all quadrant based. Now on fighters, it doesn't really matter so much. You hit them and you hit them on all quadrants at once. But for larger ships, what side you strike them on actually matters a lot. Once you've punched through the shields and hull, shields being blue, white being hull, then you start doing core damage, and that's the little bar you see underneath their name. So you'll see once I start to bust through that hull, which is now blinking red, I'll start to chisel into that core health. These berserkers are fast and like to fly under me.
Broadsides.
Now you can use your broadsides against fighters as long as they are within the targeting angle for target assist. And it's really potent, but there's lots of directions where that doesn't actually work. Which is why we have turrets. There, you see the core damage goes down, and he's down. And I got a little bit of citizenry faction. I got some cash. Worth my time.
Warning. Collision warning.
Collision warning. Let's get out of here. Actually, that's kind of a nice little view. We'll see if we can't get back on track to our originally desired mission location. Now, I was talking a little bit about the enemy shield and a hull display. Your shield and hull display is located on the bottom left around the radar. You can see those blue and white pie slices around the edge. As I'm damaged in a given quadrant, you'll see that it starts to blink red. Now this guy has a bounty on him, so I think I'm going to take a little bit of time and collect that bounty. But before I try and pull in close to him, I'm going to take off the spider cover. He's got some lancers with beam weaponry and some bombers, and I want them not chewing away at my sides while I'm trying to take him on. Now you can see there my quadrants blinking red as they're damaging my shields in different regions.
Satellite boosters depleted. Scatter turret. Satellite boosters depleted.
Let's get this guy. There he goes. One last bomber to go. And you see I try and use my deflectors to keep those missiles from doing any real damage. Now you notice also that he's got an orange chevron pointing up in the little reticle above him. That's a difficulty indicator. That's an elevated difficulty. If you see double reds, that means very high. Now that he's gone, the threat level for the region has dropped to green. You'll hear threat levels of blue, green, orange, and red that give you an indicator for how difficult a battle is likely going to be. I'm going to pull in close and just unload on this guy. Got my bounty. Now, he didn't have any cargo, unfortunately, but the $3 grand was still worth it. We'll get back on track yet again.
Accelerating to sublight.
You can see the nebula that I'm flying by there. As I mentioned earlier, I think you get cash for exploring those nebula. Another distress beacon, which I think I'm just going to ignore. We've got to get to our destination. And here we are. Now, you don't actually have to manually drop out of warp. You can kind of go extremely fast to your target location. Once you get close enough to an object that would keep you from warping, it'll just pop you out automatically, which is pretty convenient. Got a couple frigates here. Now I'm going to switch more to broadside combat, you can see. You can see I have this charging indicator that sticks out the side of my ship and eventually turns gold. Now how accurately my broadsides lead a target and how focused the fire is dependent on how much time I take to charge them. Different kinds of broadsides all have different ranges, different charge times, and different properties. There he went. I fired a few of my secondary missiles and finished him off. You can see I'm getting a little bit beat up on my right-hand side there, too. That means they made it through my shields and started picking at my hull a little bit. Now, if you look up at the reticle above him, you can see that his shields on his left-hand side are going down. And now they're gone completely, and I've broken through the hull. And you'll be able to see there's... Let's zip right in here. You can see he's starting to get damaged on the hull on his left-hand side. Core's down, and he's down. And he dropped some stuff. Now I've got a tractor beam installed, so I'm going to scoop this up. Might as well. Escape through his debris. one of these other targets off.
Detected.
Now you can see the nebula sort of freaking out my radar down there. I can buy a subsystem later that ameliorates that.
Port shields down.
Missiles tend not to lock super great in nebula to boot. Now you can see my left side is starting to get damaged. You can see it's blinking red there on the left hull quadrant. That's the side that's currently facing him, so honestly I ought to pull that and face it away, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'll throw up my deflectors, let it recharge. Oh, and he dropped a cargo container. And that container has a weapon in it. It's not a weapon I need, but I can sell it, so I'm going to scoop it up. There's a bunch of these guys.
Collision warning. Nebula interference.
Ooh, that's a rare asteroid there on the left. If I was a miner, I could use a mining laser and get some more rare ores out of that. But we're not talking about mining right now. We're talking about blowing stuff up.
Depleted. Collision warning.
Let's go around this asteroid, use it as temporary cover, let my shields regenerate, and as soon as we pop out the other side, kabam. Oh, he's done. And he dropped some more stuff for me to scoop up. Let's get it. Now, the mission hasn't completed. That means there's somebody still around. We're going to use our pulse scanner and find him. There he is off in the distance. Now, one thing I don't think I've made clear is that when you're not manning your turrets and you're doing broadsides, your turrets actually kick into AI mode and will pick targets for themselves and act, although you can control them at will. It's kind of a nice shot. Lob a few missiles into his side to punch through his shields, and we should be able to take him out nice and quick. There he goes.
Mission complete.
And dusted and done. Scoop up some more goodies. Now let's find a place to dock and take care of ourselves. I'm going to mark the closest station. There it is. Probably ought to refill. We don't have a lot of missiles left. And we got a little bit tore up on our side. And I can show you a little bit about the damage system. You can see sort of the blast damage there where it's been punched through. When I repair, that'll go away. I'm going to go to my subsystems here. Here you can see all the damage that was dealt to me. And that will actually impair subsystems, so how fast you can maneuver, how fast your guns can fire, whether they fire or not, all those things are impacted by subsystem damage. This is the tactical menu I was telling you a little bit earlier about, where I can set the behaviors of my individual turrets, and I'll try and do that a little bit later in this stream for a specific purpose. Oh, we're hitting into the atmosphere, we don't need to be there. Get out.
Satellite boosters depleted.
Let's approach the station, dock, take care of business.
Docking.
First things first, why don't we go and repair our ship? Let's do it.
Repairs complete.
There we go, nice and clean. We're going to refill all of our ordnance so that we've got missiles to use next time out. And let's sell that surplus turret that we really don't need. We certainly need the cash. I've got a couple of spare turret spots that I haven't outfitted yet because I didn't have the money to do it earlier, but I got a little spare scratch now, so I'm thinking I might get a leech turret to start with. So leech turrets fire leech rockets, which impair the speed of their targets for a period of time and also kind of soften up their shields a little bit. But I also have a mount here on the left side of my ship, and I think I want a beam weapon. There we go. Got a particle laser, leech turret. I'm a little bit more heavily outfitted. And I ought to sell some of these commodities. Now, the red there means that that is kind of a terrible price. Usually you want to buy red and sell green. But on the right, you can also see a graph of the prices and how they've been trending, and the most recent high point. I know I'm just kind of buzzing through this, but there's a lot to cover, and I'm not even going to cover all of it in this playthrough, so let's clear that waypoint.
Stellar map.
Look at where our next destination was. Why don't we do a story mission? So, Rebel Galaxy has a story that threads through the course of the game, which you can ignore if you want to, but there is an end that you can finish. And once you've completed the story, you're free to continue playing and be a trader or a miner or a pirate or whatever it is that you want to be doing. And that's just fine. You can also dip in and out of the story sort of at your leisure. It's pretty free-form that way. Now this is the sector map where you can see the other solar systems that I can jump to and the network of jump gates that allows you to get to them. But it's a while before I even have enough money to buy a jump drive, so I'm going to be playing around in this system for a bit.
Accelerating to
There's a
satellite.
weapons platform. Most stations have defensive measures, so if you start getting really chewed up, you can drag some enemies near to a station and benefit from that protection. All of the primary story missions have gold icons. It's a quick way to distinguish them. Now, over the course of the game, you can also buy better warp drives, which allow you to traverse these long distances even faster. Our scale for Rebel Galaxy is really abstract. I mean, it's not. We're not trying to play with real space, because those distances are vast and take forever to get anywhere, and we want you to be running across stuff all the time, obviously. So our space is really, really large, but it's very compressed compared to the real deal.
Initiating contact.
I'm getting a contact.
Collision warning. This location appears to be
Ah.
accurate. I cannot quite
So this is
identify
part of
exact
the
source, however.
story mission
It is
set.
likely that
Um,
it is within some
And you don't have much
records.
preamble to this, but that's okay.
I
I'm just
will
going to show you that
continue
these
to
exist
find search
and that I'm in
and-
the middle of one.
Wait. Ships are entering the region. Their weapon systems are active. I believe their intention is hostile.
Bad guys incoming.
Enemy craft inbound. Threat
There's an
level
ordnance crate.
orange.
You are right where he said you'd be. Money in the bank.
Well, okay, Blackhand Sims. Somebody double-crossed me.
Missiles inbound.
Throw up my deflectors. Now, I'm going to take that leech turret, and I'm going to switch it to only fire at things that I've locked. That gives me some control without having to manually fire.
Collision warning.
So I've slowed him down and softened up his shields, and he's gone very, very quickly.
Satellite boosters defeated.
Lots of
Status
fighters
alert.
here.
Collision warning.
I should say that this is kind of early on in the game, and these firefights are not actually that large. They tend to get a lot bigger, especially once you start getting into destroyer and dreadnought battles, where they have lots of support ships.
Yellow.
So these can be still pretty frantic fights, but as you progress, they get a lot hairier.
Deflectors depleted.
Oh, they punch through, damaging my systems. That's my new particle beam weapon there.
Collision warning.
Unfortunately, it can't fire back through my ship, so the placement of the turrets actually matters a lot. Top-mounted and bottom-mounted turrets are usually the most valuable.
Bounty received.
Ooh, and I got a bounty.
Missiles
Great.
inbound. Satellite boosters depleted. Scatter turret. Missiles inbound. Satellite boosters depleted.
Take out that bomber.
Broadsides.
Oh, and there's Mr. Sims with his retinue. Let's get rid of him.
Deflectors depleted. Port shields down.
I've got no deflector
Target
left.
locked. Satellite boosters depleted. Deflectors depleted.
But I'm gonna leech him. There goes one of my leech rockets. And now that his shields are softened up and he's been slowed, I can punch through a lot quicker.
Missiles inbound.
He doesn't appreciate it at all. Oh, and a huge bounty. That's great.
Target destroyed.
And he left a cargo container with some stuff in it.
Missiles inbound.
Ooh, a mining laser. Got another node in our story mission here to explore, but we're gonna take care of these last couple fighters lurking around first.
Collision warning. Satellite boosters defeated. Broadsides.
Alright. And there's a fragment that I want on this derelict, so let's get over and scavenge it. Shloop, we got it.
Initiating contact.
But for the purposes of this playthrough, we really don't need to spend much time on story stuff, so why don't we skip ahead here
I
just a little
confess,
bit.
It is a relief.
There we go. Let's go take on a slightly more difficult mission with a little bit bigger ship. See how we fare. Now we probably should have gone and repaired and bought a few missiles, topped up, but we'll live dangerous. You can see the risk on this mission is high, so I expect it to be a little bit difficult, but not insane. Looks like it's going to be in a nebula. There we go, and again you can see those orange chevrons there showing that this is a little bit elevated. Oh, now somebody here has torpedoes. You see that kind of large glowing missile? It's a torpedo, and those do extreme damage. We like to shoot them down or avoid them completely. And I'm going to try and prioritize that torpedo boot so that he doesn't cause me any further trouble. He's out of range. Let's get a little closer. Use our broadsides and really take him out. Oof. At least he's out of the way. These missiles, though. Oh, I really need an ordnance targeting subsystem. It would make that considerably easier. For now, I'm just going to have to outrun it. No time to pick it off. Let's get rid of these fighters so that I can get in there. Oh, he's gone. Good. Now I can focus on this bigger destroyer. Oh, one last bomber to deal with. Take it out with a few missiles, hopefully. Yep, there he went. Good. I'm already hearing some misfires on my weapons. That means my weapon subsystem's damaged. You can see there on my left hull is just torn away. I'm hoping to take out some of his beam turrets, though, so that he's a little less nasty, and defang him if I can. Leech him a little bit. See if I can pick one of these beam turrets off so that I can focus on that side before he beats me up too bad. Oh, almost chiseled through the hull of that beam turret. Now you can see my turrets are starting to overheat in the bottom right, those little red chevrons. That's the heat gauge for those scatter turrets. If they overheat, they go into an enforced cooldown, so you sort of have to manage your firing. It's another subsystem you can buy. It's one that manages weapon heat and kind of defrays some of the cost of firing.
Missiles inbound.
Alright. Turret's down. Oh, my last couple missiles. Now I've broken through his right-hand side, and I'm about 50% into his core systems, but I'm actually doing considerably worse. I've only got a 23% core health right now. You can see that down next to my my radar in the bottom left. And unfortunately, it's my sides that are out, which means doing broadsides, as soon as he punches through my shields, he goes right to the core. And at present, there is nothing I can do about that except try and stay out of the worst of the line of fire of his broadsides and get him from one of these sort of odd angles. And try and take out those missiles as they come. Oof. Come on. Punch through that shield. It's gonna be a near thing. Oh, but there he goes. Let's pull away and stay away from these missiles, and that was it for him. Left behind a little bit of cargo. I'm gonna get rid of these trailing missiles just so they don't give me any trouble. We'll go scoop up our loot. And man, we could use some repair. Now, I haven't really touched on everything in the game here. I'm just trying to give you a general overview. There's lots of other stuff that you can do. I haven't done mining. I haven't encountered any merchants. I haven't done any piracy. You can actually hail merchants in flight and trade with them. You can often hail pirates and parley with them. You can try and intimidate them. You can give them cargo in exchange for letting you pass. There are events that take place in the system. Here's a pirate lord, for instance. You could almost always get a guaranteed component by taking on a pirate lord, and they fly from station to station, and you can get notifications about them at the bar. All of these little gold exclamation marks on stations means that an event is going on. So there's the pirate lord, they have a market glut, there's a tech boom, And you can also see that if I've been to the station, I have a history of the prices. That one's very old, over 300 days old. It's been a while since I've been to that station. It's probably not an accurate price set. You can find transponders which you can hack, and sometimes those transponders will give you a location where there might be some cargo stowed away. You might be able to get current updated financial information for the whole system. You might get all of the bounties marked for an entire system. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this relatively brief and not totally comprehensive overview for gameplay in Rebel Galaxy, and I hope you've got a kind of a general idea of some of the gameplay that is available. There's a lot more to the game, and when October 20th rolls around, I hope you'll give it a shot. Thanks again.